Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Happy Wednesday morning. Hope everyone's okay. Everyone's all right and everyone's having a good week. In this video, we're going to be talking about Real Madrid's interest in Cristian Romero and where that is at right now. And there's a bit of a little bit of a centre-back list of who they're quite keen on. We're talking about a report that went a little bit viral surrounding Qatar's interest in buying Spurs. You know, we don't know if there's much in this, but it went a little bit viral, so I thought I'd have a chat about it. We're also be chatting about INEOS. INEOS, the corporation who is basically owned by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who bought into the minority stake of Manchester United, and why they're trying to get out of a sponsorship deal with Spurs, and why we're not even the only ones that they've tried to do this with. So we talk about that as well. So there's plenty of good stuff to talk about, plenty more of a discussion side of things to talk about as well. Just want to say, if you're watching this and you're new, subscribe. You very much want to join us for the journey. Morning, Declan. How are we? Adi, Sonia, Spurs, Jake, Jazz. How are we all? Hope everyone's all right and okay. I will give you a heads up as well. Career mode will be back maybe today, if not tomorrow, back on the channel as well. So we'll be back to getting angry at a computer game again. So looking forward to that. So look, let's jump in and let's talk around Cristian Romero. So if you're not aware, I'll give you the quickest little backstory filler on this situation. Cristian Romero is a guy he's been touted as a player that has interest from Real Madrid. Okay, he's not the only one. You know, they've had William Saliba, I think, as well. There's been a few actually centre backs that they've been quite interested in. Obviously, I know there's talk about them being interested in Trent Alexander-Arnold as well as right back. Obviously, Alphonso Davies was a player they were interested in, but he signed a long-term deal with Bayern. So let's talk about it then, because Cristian Romero is still of interest to Real Madrid. Ekram Kunor has put out that Jared Branthwaite, Ibrahima Konate, Dean Huijsen, I can't remember say his name, the Bournemouth centre-back, William Saliba and Cristian Romero continue to be on Real Madrid's transfer list. Now, obviously, Dean was like a 50 million-ish release clause. I think it's like 50 million-ish. Something, it's in and around that figure. Branthwaite, I think Everton, even though they rejected a £75 million bid from Manchester United last season, I think they would probably sell to Real Madrid for around 55 to 60 million, because he's going to go abroad, completely out of the way. They never have to deal with him, but also they're getting a crap load of money, okay? When you think about Ibrahima Konate, I mean, he's going to cost good money. He is. I mean, how much? Just going to have a quick look at his contract. Because the idea of this is I'm trying to go through every single player as to maybe value-wise what it would cost to get them. So Konate is going to be 26 in the summer, so he'll be hitting his prime. His contract expires in the summer of 2026. That's something to hold on to. He's only going to have 1 year left on his deal. He's having a really good season, and he's been a really decent player, actually, for the last couple of years for Liverpool. So he's got a great relationship with Van Dijk, and I don't think Liverpool are going to want to move from him whatsoever. I think they're going to want to keep him. You know, he's a crucial part to their team, especially if they may lose Trent. They don't want to lose their right-hand side of their defence. They're already going to lose the right back. They don't want to lose the right centre-back either. When you look at William Saliba, let's have a look at his contract when it expires. I mean, he's 23. He will be 24 in the summer, so he's not near his prime just yet. His contract expires in the summer of 2027. So there is that. So he's got an extra year on his contract. So it's something that it's going to be harder to get him out of Arsenal than it would be Konate from Liverpool. Obviously, just talking wages-wise. Obviously, Romero will be 27 in the summer. So Romero is going to be a year older than a Konate, but his contract expires in the summer of 2027, just like Saliba's. So there's a few issues there. Morning, Louis, Mark, Boris, Bazza, Vito, Giant, Adventurous, Tony. How are we all? And Marshall as well, obviously. You know, there's obviously that issue that Spurs probably are not going to want to play ball on Cristian Romero, right? he is obviously a very good defender. It's really weird. Our own fans seem to not think he's a very good defender, but regardless, when you talk about world football really likes him. Managers, players, they all really like him and all think he's a really good defender. So I tend to sort of agree with, the masses over the few. And I've always talked about how much it would cost to buy these sort of players. Kanate, obviously having only 1 year left on his contract, that's a difficult one. Liverpool may need to sell because they may not be able to get the contract extension on him. But you also, you might have a situation where you look at like a Saliba, obviously he's a little bit younger. I think he's going to cost probably more than Romero due to his age. Obviously, he's got a few extra years on his life when it comes to football than Romero does. But Romero's going to be 27, right? In the middle of his prime. 2 years left on his contract. How much do we reckon that's going to cost? Now, I bring in a few different names for you to think about when it comes to this deal. Harry Maguire was bought, 5-6 years ago by Manchester United for 85 million. Okay. Harry Maguire was never as good as Cristian Romero. Okay, so there's one. Wesley Fofana was bought by Chelsea multiple years ago for 75 million. Not as good as Cristian Romero. And I look at those two figures and I go, so Romero's not out of contract the season after it. No, he's not. Okay, right. Maguire was 5 or 6 years ago for 85 million. Okay, so the number starts at least 85 million. And that's if we're being generous. Because inflation, you may not believe in the term inflation. You may think inflation is a government conspiracy. But regardless, in the transfer market, when it comes to football, it's genuinely a thing. 85 million, 5 or 6 years ago. English tax, I get that. But he's not as good as Cristian Romero. Cristian Romero is a Copa America World Cup winning centre-back. He's going to cost probably about 100 million. And Real Madrid, I don't think are going to want to do that. I think Real Madrid would probably look more so maybe to a Konate because they'll believe they can get him for about 50. And then it's mugging off Liverpool, isn't it? We can get Trent and you get Konate, and it's just they feel like they can mug him off. So that's kind of my thinking, at least. Goldbridge meltdown is purely for content engagement. The guy probably happier when United loses, more people watching his content. I like Goldbridge. I don't have any beef with him. Yes, it does, Boris. Look, Konate has injury issues. Yeah. But then again, you can say the same about Romero. He's had some issues, hasn't he? Obviously, Saliba had a big injury previous. He was out for months. Branthwaite missed a good chunk of time through injury. They've all had real injuries, apart for Dean out in Bournemouth. I'm just going to call him Dean, by the way. Dean from Bournemouth. Sounds like a mate. But, apart from him, the rest of them have all had some issues, Do I want you to buy Tottenham? Keep Romero and sell Richarlison. Well, that's a conversation for another day. Romero will go to Real Madrid for around 100 million euros. Trust me, he wants to go, and this is our last window to get a good fee. Romero, the one thing I'm going to put out there early doors before someone starts talking about it. Romero doesn't want to play here. Romero doesn't like Tottenham. Romero only cares about Argentina. If you're going to send you one of those things, keep it to yourself. It's proven inaccurate anyway, regardless, but we don't want to hear it. It's quite a lazy take nowadays. I'll talk about this season alone. Romero's come out and publicly backed Ange against the club and says, I want this club to succeed. If the club acted properly, we would succeed. Okay, so that was from Romero. That wasn't from Romero's mate. That wasn't from the guy down at the pub. That's from Cristian Romero himself. It's not from an agent either. You also then have a situation where Ipswich at home, he was injured in that game, right? The week before, he was injured going into that game. He still played through that injury, okay? He then got injured playing for Argentina. He shouldn't have been allowed to go to Argentina, but that's not on Romero. That's on the club to say, mate, you can't go. So, yeah, I don't want to hear that he doesn't care about Spurs. It's incorrect and not true, okay? So I don't want to hear about it. Now, my point is with Romero, and I think about Kane, and I think about Son, right? And I think about Son maybe a few years ago. Don't think about him right this second. A few years ago, especially when he won the Golden Boot, right? And he won the Golden Boot, not Salah, in my opinion. Salah did it through penalties. Sonny didn't do it through penalties. Okay. Just my own natural opinion. All right. We had Harry Kane, Heung-Min, Son, right? And we didn't truly back and surround them. You have Cristian Romero, right, at the back. Top quality centre back, in my opinion. There's some of you that disagree. It's my opinion, and I'm definitely not changing it just because you don't like him, okay? You don't have to like him. I'm not saying you're wrong. Therefore, I'm also not wrong for thinking he's a great centre back, okay? But they went and tried to surround him with Clement Longley. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like, have you really tried to surround him with quality? You haven't. You haven't. Harry Kane would still be here if you truly had an effort to surround these players with top quality. Harry Kane wouldn't have been playing in Germany last night. He wouldn't have been. He'd still be playing at Spurs now to this day. He didn't want to leave Spurs. He was happy to stay, but he wanted the owner to kind of go, "Hey, could you really go for it? I want to win things. I want to be in the Champions League. Let's do this. Let's knuckle down." And the owner didn't believe that he could do it. So that's why they sold him. They didn't want to risk it. And I get the idea, the idea surrounding, you can't risk that sort of money when it comes to a player. I totally get it, but it wouldn't have happened if we'd gone for it and surrounded these players properly. He'd have signed a new deal years previous, Can I see Kane coming back to us? I don't know. I used to think yes, but I don't know as much anymore. Romero's top 10 centre back in the league, easily top 10 in the league. I think it's huge that this summer there are no major international tournaments, so I believe next season will be fewer injuries due to players getting actually getting real rest in the summer. Absolutely. You should also expect transfer deals to be done a lot earlier than normal due to the fact that there's no international football getting in the way. So deals will be done a lot quicker this year compared to last year, where we did have international football. Things do just take a bit of a back seat at times. He could be in top 5 now. He has a proper partner next to him. I'd love to know who you reckon's above him, though. That'd be interesting. Still needs to prove himself. Oh, God. I definitely disagree with that. It's not liking Romero issue is availability. Well, the thing is, this is the point, isn't it, with Romero? It's availability. Okay. You didn't give Conte what he needed to play 3 centre-backs at the back. If you're playing 3 centre-backs at the back, you need 6 centre-backs at the club, 2 per position, right? You, at the club right this second, last season, we sold Davinson Sanchez after the transfer market shut, ran into next season with basically Romero, Mickey van der Ven, and Eric Dyer, who could not play a high line, right? You then buy Radu Dragic in January, but then you get rid of Eric Dyer. So again, you're back still down to 3 centre-backs. You go into the summer this summer, didn't rectify that whatsoever. You then go into January, right? And we're going to get a centre-back. We're getting a centre-back. Nice one. We're getting centre-back. Buzzing. Absolutely cracking. We're going to get Kevin Danso. Oh, okay. Yeah, he suits Spurs. But Radu Dragic is going to blow his knee. He's going to be out for a year. Cool. So you're going to replace Radu? No. And that's the issue. If you have the ability to rotate, this is my point. I'm banging my head against the wall trying to say these points. And you're probably sick of me saying these points. So I'll rattle through them as quickly as possible. If you have good quality ability to rotate, you keep players fit. Son playing once a week is better than Son playing 3 times a week. James Maddison playing once a week is better than James Maddison playing 3 times a week. Cristian Romero and Mickey van der Ven will stay fitter if you have quality around them that you can rotate with them. That's always been my point. They will stay fitter because of it. Romero wouldn't miss, and Mickey wouldn't miss half the time if you could go, let me bring this guy in. Hey, Romero, take your time getting back from injury. Kevin's class. And Kevin's here now, which is grand. But Radu's injured. So it's like, trust me, one of those two guys is fit to play 45 minutes. They're back playing 45 minutes like that. And that's our issue, you know? Well, Paul said the person pointing out he's an idiot. Yeah, I'm trust me, I'm getting to it. Don't worry, Boris. Let's just hold up there. Rec, how are you? Will you be? How about a doggy also wants to leave too? No, he's not leaving. We love Destiny. Something great for Spurs and National United. Van Dijk, Saliba, Gabriel, Diaz. I'm not having Diaz. Not having Diaz every day of the week. Romero's miles better than Ruben Diaz. I don't even think Ruben Diaz is Man City's best centre back. Heavily, I mean, how Ruben Diaz won Player of the Year over Harry Kane, who scored the most goals and had the most assists in the Premier League, will forever, ever be one of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen in football. The guy had the most goals and most assists. He was the best player by a mile in the Premier League. Yet a centre-back won it. Right. That's stupid, to say the least. So yeah, no, I don't rate. I'll give you the other four if you want to give the other four. Although I still would take Romero over a couple of those. I'll still give you those ones, but I won't give you Diaz. Werner playing no times per week is better than Werner playing 3 times per week. Hey, mate, he will be playing in my career mode later today. Trust me. Turbo Timo, how can I help? And my point was that it thinks Romero wants to leave as he's out injured. No, Romero was at the game yesterday. Not yesterday, at the weekend, celebrating like mad. The guy wants to be here. He does. He just wants the upstairs to actually go, hey, we need to get you some help. We need to get you some help and support. Let's get you that help and support, you know? So, yeah. Our starter 2 centre-backs are actually very high quality. The problem is the backups aren't nearly at the level required or tactically not suited. Danso solves the right centre-back issues. Now we need left centre-back on Van der Ven's level. That's the thing. Having 4 centre-backs, you think of Man City, right? And you go, oh, look at all the centre-backs they've got. Now, you're not going to be that. You're not that kind of gone. You're not in that situation, right? But if you had 4 good centre-backs, right? Those guys get rotated. They keep fresh. They keep healthy. But instead, you're asking Mickey and Kuti quite often to play 2 or 3 times a week. At some point, they're going to break down. You would. You know, people that slag and drag those guys getting injured, you would break down. You'd break down a hell of a lot quicker than these guys would as well. The fact that some of these players haven't is just a minor miracle. So, yeah, there we go. And he didn't buy enough transfer to rotate the team. No wonder we got injuries and tired players. Agree, Kate. Remember say Ange will be gone next season if he doesn't deliver the Europa League. Bye, Ange. Oh, where's he gone? Ange, where you gone? Where's he gone? He's playing hide and seek. I'll go find him in a bit. He's playing hide and seek, and Ange is very good at hide and seek with me. Haven't been able to find him in a few hours. I don't know where he's gone. Well, it's come out. We're looking at triggering Davies' extension. Ange in. Davies is solid. Absolute Davies. Yeah, Davies isn't bad. What we shouldn't be looking to do though next season is him to play a major part in the season. We should be looking at that. So that's my point. Well, yeah, I'm looking to see what Ashley and Luca do next season. Anyway, let's talk about some. This is bonkers. So INEOS, Sergeant Ratcliffe. Okay, Man United co-owners INEOS are in talks with Tottenham over making an early exit from the 5-year sponsorship deal signed in 2022. Obviously, this was before they got involved with Manchester United. And if you're not aware, INEOS have got a few different little bits and bobs. But on the back of the seats in the dugouts, it says INEOS on the headrest. And when you've got Manchester United in the other dugouts, who are part owned by INEOS, their owners are funding Spurs, basically. They're helping Spurs' financial fair play situation, right? So the article's from Mike Keegan in the Mail, and he goes on to read, Manchester United co-owners INEOS have entered early talks with Premier League rivals Tottenham Hotspur, aimed at making an early exit from the sponsorship deal. The Mail Sport understands that what has been described as an amicable discussions are taking place between both parties with a view the Giant withdrawing prematurely from the deal signed in 2022. INEOS are the official 4x4 partner of Spurs via their Grenadier vehicle, and their branding is prominent in the dugouts at the club's impressive new stadium. New? I don't think it's new. I think it's a few years old now. The logo also regularly appears regularly on advertisement hoardings and was seen throughout Spurs' 1-0 win over Man United on Sunday. It's thought that the deal is several million per year, which you think of what I talked about inflation when it comes to a transfer market. This is going to be a situation where it's like, oh, Daniel Levy goes, well, we can get ourselves a better deal now. It's been 3 years. We'll get a better deal now. So there you go. Like Arch said, David's yeah, absolutely. No worries, mate. Ange won't be around next season. Oh, is he off to Mars? Does Elon Musk get him to go to Mars? They've got scared because all of the pitchforks are out because Goldbridge has sent the United fans after him because they, quote, funded the Tell deal. Yeah, I mean, INEOS definitely didn't fund that Tell deal. The fact that Spurs could fund that Tell deal 10 times over is kind of what the situation is. Sure, could rebuild Manchester United. Oh, well, I don't think anyone should want that job at the moment. Happy to withdraw their sponsorship for the 75% of the total. Yeah, look, the thing is, the issue is now, if you're trying to get an early exit, you have to fund a lot of that deal. So actually, it would suit Spurs because Spurs can go, right, we're going to get a lot of that money now, and we'll get a new sponsor that's going to give us even more money. Daniel Levy goes, let's get you an early exit. Come on. You're Man United. We're Tottenham. We're not the sack. Come on. Right. So here's what's left. You're going to pay us 90% of that. And then we're going to go get another deal. So you're actually funding Spurs' future deals even more. There's the issue, So, yeah, I'm not shocked by this. I mean, if you're not aware, INEOS are also trying to get out of their deal with the All Blacks, which is the New Zealand rugby team, but they may be taken for legal action for the early exit because their deal was supposed to run to 2027, and that was worth 3.7 million a year. So you got to think the New Zealand rugby team was just under 4 million a year in sponsorship. Spurs are going to be getting way more than that. Way more than that. Due to how frequently we play, how much we're on TV, we're in Europe and all these things. We're one of those big 6 teams. God, Spurs must be getting a fortune from INEOS. They cancelled their partnership with Sir Ben Ainsley, America's Cup team. That's in sailing, I believe. So a sailing team as well. Apparently, their third stake in the Mercedes Formula One team is also at threat. So I think they're trying to cut loads of this stuff. They'll probably sign a deal with Manchester United to put INEOS around the stadium, pump money into the club that way, therefore bringing down the issues with their debt they're having. And it does make sense in that regard for them, but they want Man United to be profitable again. They're a business after all. So there we go. Annie, I like that. Like me, you don't take much from those people that seem to make stuff up. People are entitled to their opinions, but when they say how others, look, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Freedom of speech. You're entitled to your opinion. I won't say that you're wrong. Now, if you say, Andy, you're not 5'9", you're 7'4", I'll go, right, you're definitely wrong there. That might be an opinion, but you're definitely wrong. I'm definitely not 7'4". It'd be nice. I'd play in the NBA and I'd get millions of dollars, right? But if people go, I think Jed Spence is the best right back at Spurs. You're more than entitled to your opinion. Sorry, that was my controller disconnecting from my PlayStation. You could say Harry Kane wasn't the best attacker we've had at Spurs ever. That's fine. By all means, you're welcome into your opinion. Now, as long as it's not rude, obviously, So, any updates on Qatar bid? Coming to it next. Someone's been purchased Spurs, being sport. Yeah, coming to that in a minute. They'll probably end up cutting 500 more jobs. Yeah, they've already cut 250 jobs, haven't they? Sounds like INEOS are going broke fast and Elon's. Qatari investors want to get out of the PSG ASAP. We look at PSG since the takeover. It's been extremely well run. Couple of that cash. Yeah, true. Lewis, the Lewis and Leclerc situation at Ferrari is going to be bloody interesting. So look, with that situation, ironically, will end up suiting Spurs. It doesn't sound like it will, but it definitely will. Okay. So we'll see. Right, let's talk about this weird old report surrounding purchasing of Tottenham. Okay, so I I look, I'm not going to say take this as gospel. I'm not saying take this as absolutely false. All I would say is where there's smoke, there's fire. You know the saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. And Spurs are up for minority investment. We all know that. The reason Spurs have brought their wage bill down is that it makes it more financially beneficial for ENIC when it comes to their minority investment because they can get a bit more, right? But there is a case that, with obviously the ownership going into a trust and things like that, that there is a case where Spurs could be sold completely. And they can buy more and more shares, so they can get more and more money. They can charge more and more on the other end. There's also that. We know Qatar have been interested. We knew about the people that own the PSG side of things. They were interested in a minority investment purchase of Spurs a couple of years ago. So it's not shocking. Okay. So this is interesting. Basically, through the Gulf, through the royal family of Qatar and things like that, there's a few points here. So I'll break them down. I'll go probably 2 and 3 per go. He goes, the PSG owners, the quote, in family Qatar power structure politics are in talks to buy Spurs. BEIN, the media conglomerate, will be used to buy Spurs and will also be the main sponsor. We'll stop there for a second. The issue is, the guys and the team that own PSG cannot also own Spurs. You cannot own both. You can get a minority investment, but if I remember correctly, unless they've changed the rules, they can't buy both. So if you're going to buy Spurs, it means you're selling PSG. Or there's someone else in Qatar, because there's quite a few rich people in Qatar. There's someone else in Qatar buying Spurs, and then they might buy a minority. They might buy into a bit of minority investment through that, maybe. So there's that side of things. Qatar investment might be exciting, but the money comes from an absolute monarchy where human rights are treated as opt-in, opt-out. Well, yeah, it's definitely divisive. It's definitely divisive. What you think about Qatari's petrodollars buying us a title too, like others? Yes, it's a conversation having it in a second, Scott. Take this report with a pinch of salt. Yeah, take this report with a huge pinch of salt. I mean, get a shovel out. That kind of salt, right? Ended up buying summer fruit squash the other day, and I think you're to blame as it's not my go-to choice. About Ty Robinson started paying you some commission, young man. Oh, I'd love it. I'd love it if they did. And I hope you're enjoying it, my friends. Hope you're enjoying it. Give me sports reported as deal is done for Spurs Takeover. I saw the report about lower wage bill provides higher salary price. That's not how the transaction will work. What Spurs spent on wages will have no bearing on the sale price. Well, it isn't a determining factor. It isn't a determining factor. But when it comes to the revenue that you make as a business, if your outgoings are lower and let's say the incoming is still high, you can, in theory, as an ownership, go, well, that's how much we're making. We're doing X, Y, and Z. We now want this. That's how business works, I think I heard that the rules on that are changing. Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I don't know. It's. You'd have to get dispensations, I think, things like that. QSI already sold 30% of PSG. There you go. Yeah, you can't own 2 teams in the same league. But then obviously there might be a UEFA rule coming down around two owned teams being in the same European competition. But bought something through as well as a bottle of lemon squash. Lemon? Oh, not sure about that one, Chief. Yeah, there you go. Baz got it. So look, there's that first couple of bits. Let's go through the next couple of bits. What attracts the Qataris is the stadium and the fact that world-class talent would want to come to London. That's not surprising. World-class players do want to go and play in London. Qataris are insisting on having a tube station next to the stadium as a condition of the purchase. In exchange, they're willing to commit to area regeneration. I mean, the tube stations are like, what, 15, 20 minutes away? I don't know about that. Qatari is looking at this as a serious investment into the entire area. They don't want to be known as vanity buyers buying a club and paying to win. They want a quote, win hearts and minds approach, the way that Emiratis, their regional rivals, have done in Manchester. Right, pause there. Pause there. There's a lot there, actually. The the issue is, right, those guys who bought into Manchester City, they were and I'm going to be really nice about this because I don't have beef with Manchester City, but they were a really average club in the Premier League. They were always fighting relegation every single season. They were finishing 16th, 17th quite frequently. They were crap. They get a little bit of a new ownership. They're in about 8th to 10th. Still a bit average, nothing mental. Then obviously these guys come in. They then start spending crazy amounts of money, having 115, 116, whatever it is, charges. You know, all these things come into it. You know what I mean? It's a different world. It's so much harder to do that now. Now, the difference is obviously the Saudis owning Newcastle. Okay. And we'll talk about the Americans owning Villa as well, because the Americans are going for it. They're trying their best. They're driving up, you know, revenues and things like that. You know, Todd Bowley at Chelsea, they're trying to do something similar with a new stadium to drive up, you know, to drive up what you can get out of that club in terms of revenue. Spurs are obviously a little bit further ahead than quite a few of those teams. I mean, Boris, that's a shout. Everton's new stadium. It's the idea of you can start using that stadium as a huge investment for events. And as much as we take the piss out of, you know, the Beyoncés and the Kendrick Lamars and things like that, at the end of the day, it's what helps your club spend money in the transfer market. Okay. And we, yes, could spend a lot more. I get that. Just ignore that for now. Okay. The Qataris are looking at Spurs because they go, look, they've already sorted out the revenue. The revenue's there. You know, if you spend a bit more on players, the revenue's going to go up even further because you'll always be in the Champions League. That's guaranteed 50s, you know, tens of millions more per year, right? Then you can charge more in sponsorship. So actually, it's like hundreds of millions. I mean, you think of how much we earn compared to like the other top six, right? And we're in the bunch there. If you're in the top four every single year because you've got good players, you're in the top four every year, that number is only going to continue to rise. Okay, so that's what they're looking at. They don't have to do the hard part. As much as, look, you can like Levy, you can hate Levy. I think even the most Levy outers can agree. The guy's a good businessman. He is. Look at the revenue we earn per year. He's a good businessman. Now, as a football side of things, he probably needs to get out of the way a bit more because that's not great. But as a business side, yeah, grand, brilliant, whatever. They know the hard work's been done. They don't have to do it. And that's why they like Spurs. You know, with Newcastle, they've probably seen what's happened at Newcastle and gone, that's going to take years to get up to speed again. Manchester City took a decade or whatever to get them up to speed. Spurs are there now. You just need to kick them a little bit and they'll fly. That's what they're looking at, you know. Please have a train station. The 40-minute walk after every match to the station is painful. Matt, it's good to get the 10K steps in per day, bud. All right? Especially after all those beers that we all have, you know. NFL brings a lot of money. Yeah. Well, look, the NFL is going to bring a ton of money to Spurs as well. Well, we'll see. Appreciate it, Marshall. Yeah, give it a like if you fancy, lads. I'll appreciate that. Like I said, by the way, career mode out a little bit later, so be on the lookout for that and the second channel. Let's go for there's more. Qataris also feel it's time to make a statement in the biggest league in the world. There's a general understanding at the topmost level that if you're not in the English Premier League, you're not a serious player. And having two regional rivals there already is slightly upsetting. On Daniel Levy, he was not born yesterday. He is driving a hard bargain, as you expect. I'm not no one should be shocked by that. No one should be angry by that. At the end of the day, this is like his like child, you know. That's what he looks at it for. And the last bit, you know, the Qatari interest from the same family as the PSG owners is the most serious interest in Tottenham since Enick took over. And then he's, yeah. Well, look, I think take that with a huge pinch of salt. Huge pinch of salt. There's obviously the human rights side of things, and there is that concern. The irony is, for I think a lot of people, if they are worried about that, and you know, I don't want to voice opinions where you should think one way or the other. I don't want to think like that. And I also don't, it's a really difficult subject that I don't want to put my foot into it. Okay. And I'm not going to when it comes to Spurs ownership until there is something credible to say they're coming. They want Spurs. They're in talks to buy Spurs. And like someone credible going, they've made an offer to buy Spurs. Even if it's been rejected, if it comes out that there was a serious offer to buy Spurs, then a conversation can be had and all that. I'm not going to really have that conversation now because at the end of the day, I for some reason, don't think this will go anywhere. I could be wrong. It's just my general view. I know nothing. No one's told me anything. I don't see this going anywhere because they want to sell off a small chunk. That's what they want. They want a little small chunk. They want to, if you get a cake, here's a cake. They want to give you a slice and they go, enjoy that slice. And you go, that's lovely. Thanks very much. This carrot cake's divine. And they go, yeah, but the rest of the cake's for us. So go on your pop, you know, and that's what they want to do. They don't want to do the whole, let's give you the 85, 86% that we own. Okay. It's going to cost multiple billions. It's not something that's going to cost like £1 billion. It's going to cost multiple billions because all the infrastructure's there, the training ground's there, the stadium's there. You know, the fact the wage bill's a little bit lower, all those things come into it. It's going to be multiple millions. I'm just saying. Like it or not, Daniel is a genius. Spurs will never have to worry about FFP, PSR. Will always be self-sufficient and will only keep growing. We just need a guy to push us over the line. We need a football guy to run the club. That's what we need. We don't have one. I thought Scott Munn would be it, but remains to be seen. Crossrail 2 is meant to go to Northumberland Park. Look at Callum Roach. Callum Roach, the geography man that he is. The logistical tube man that he is. Spurs reach a point where other clubs simply won't be able to compete with us off the field. Well, let's see surrounding the whole FFP PSR situation, because I think next season it remains the same, but going forward, I expect it to change. No one should be angry with Levy because he's getting a hard bargain. He needs to give the things to the investors. He's built us up, even though he's done a poor on the field, not great recently, but yeah, as a business side of things, yeah, of course, he's done well. I think I scraped together a fiver. Drinks on you, Steve. Then get some genuine billionaire rather than all money oligarch or sheikh. Well, that's the issue. Who has that money? Who has that money? You know, right? I support the New England Patriots. Right? You've got the Kraft family that owns New England Patriots. They own a few different things as well. And all the while, you had him. Right? You had him. They spent money. They lost him. And they lost confidence in spending money. There's a salary cap in the NFL, but they lost money in spending. They lost confidence in spending that money. This offseason, I expect the Patriots to spend a lot of money in the offseason. I think Robert Kraft and the Kraft family have been good owners. I don't feel the same anymore. Would they have the money to buy them? Yeah, probably. Probably. Thumbs up, you're welcome. Thumbs up for Tom Brady. All right. But you know what I mean? So it's so hard to find great owners nowadays, you know? Philadelphia Eagles ownership might be what you want to do. I mean, there was talk about the guy who recently bought WWE, the firm that bought WWE through the TKO merger with UFC. He was talking about maybe buying the Chicago Bears, the NFL team. Chicago Bears, the NFL, not Bulls. So maybe that, you know. I'll add our club will merely become a promotional piece for another country. Football club shouldn't be promoting. Yeah, absolutely. Levy wants the cash funding to build the hotel. You don't like Oleg Poly money, then prepare for Marshall's bid. Marshall would be an awful owner. Awful owner. Enik Levy will happily accept a 35% premium to the full evaluation, sell the whole lot. Well, look, the phase buyout is a thing that they're doing at Manchester United with Ratcliffe. So it wouldn't shock me if they look at that model and think that suits us best. Because in those 3 years where Ratcliffe's getting the debt down or he's fixing out, saving money on wages, getting rid of players that are crap, and it's going to be a few years of difficult decisions at Man United, okay? Because they've got loads of overrated players on really, really good money that they need to get rid of. And I think they're doing a good job when it comes to, Sancho. Sancho, I think it's like if Chelsea finish 15th or above, which obviously they're going to, Chelsea then have to have an obligation to buy Sancho. I think it's like 20 million. It's nothing mental. It's a loss. They'll end up, it will count as a loss, but going forward, they're off the hook of that 350k a week, right? Even if they're still on the hook for 100 grand a week for a few years, you're still saving 250 grand. So they're trying to get off of some of those really, really big deals. Patrick Dorgu signed for Man United. There was chat that he's on 40 grand a week, which to you and I, your average Joe, it's a lot of money. In the world of football, that's really not. You think of some of those players at Man United that are on 300 grand plus. They signed a new fella at left back for 40 grand. It's the way forward that he's trying to do. He's trying to bring the wage bill down. It's what Todd Bowley did at Chelsea, brought the wage bill down. Yeah, he signed 1 billion players, but he also got rid of high earning players as well. It then gives you the ability to spend a bit more. And that's what they're trying to do. So the phase buyout suits then the Glazers because he's doing all the hard work. Man United value will still keep going up, especially start clearing some of that debt. Therefore, they can make even more money. So with Levy, he's looking at it going, phase buyout for 3 years. I'll still be doing my job here and still working. And then he obviously then can do even more when it comes to building the revenue of the club, building, the wage bill not to keep rising. Value keeps going up at the club. And the value is every single year going up on Spurs. The valuation of that club keeps going up and up and up and up. The fact that Spurs can get from 16 events per year to, 30 now? They basically doubled revenue in terms of boxing events, concerts, all that stuff, right? It's just going to continue to grow and grow and grow. It's a stadium hub of events now. It's not, the issue that we all have is they talk about the stadium, they talk about how great it is, and then go, look at, we could do music events, we could do boxing, the NFL, blah 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 blah, and then there's no mention of what the stadium's for, the football team. That's our issue. So it would benefit them a lot. In every league, only the wealthy clubs win titles with a few anomalies who get great managers on the rise and a critical mass of talented, quote, cheap players, which is what we are currently building. The issue is with those cheap players, they end up getting sold then after that one season of success. They get sold to the clubs who are willing to pay that money. You think of Leicester, Drinkwater and Kante were their midfield partnership. They end up going to Chelsea. Riyad Mahrez going off to Manchester City. So there's that. Sorry, I thought I saw something. It was just Axel Disassi talking. Chris, welcome to the membership club, my friends. Well, I haven't got a drink to toast you, so here's a bottle of Summit Fruit Squash. Toast you, Chris. Welcome to the membership club. You absolutely bloody legends. They've got Casemiro on 1.5 years left, which will cost him 25.5 million. He wants to end the contract. This is the thing. They want to start getting out of those sort of deals. Why doesn't Andy buy this club? It's just a meager 2 billion amount. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it, but I thought, nah, do you know what? I'd rather just go to the pub and buy everyone a pint at the pub. They signed De Ligt on 195 grand a week. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Who do I want to sign in the summer? Realistic one. Me. I'll be the owner. I'm going to sign me and give me a crazy wage. All right. Ratcliffe won't be adding to the stake in 3 years with the way there's that. That's why he's trying to get rid of all the other things that he's got going around, save that money to help towards that. Just saying. All right. we're not doing that with Archie. Andy, what's your thoughts on Anthony in Betis? He's doing well. Good for him. I'm glad for him. We shouldn't be a stepping stone club. Only maybe the Real Madrid or Bayern should be the people we sell our top talents to. We should be able to compete on their levels if we were just a bit more smarter with what we're doing. Like, let's be honest, if we didn't pay out majority of the players last summer, we could have gotten one or two more signings that we aren't going to terminate contracts this summer. Well, look, you got to factor that in. You know, when I talk about Ratcliffe and, you know, the idea they're trying to get off those big name players, you know, Todd Bowley trying to get off those big wage players. Arsenal did it as well. Aubameyang, Ozil, Sanchez, you know, Mkhitaryan. There's probably a few more, to be honest, on that list. Like Koscielny's and Mustafi's as well. And those players, you know, the idea is you're trying to get off them, even though it might count as a loss this year, going forward, you're going to save money. That's why they do it, you know. Apparently, we need a bigger gym at Tottenham. They need you. If you want Mickey van der Ven to be an absolute unit, you send him to me. Now, will he have more hamstring issues? Well, let's not go there, right? All right, he might do. Come on, Andy. Do you know what, mate? I don't know. I don't know who I would want. I mean, if I could have an ideal sort of signing, it would be Hincapie. A more realistic one would be Hanko, probably, for that sort of hybrid fullback, centre-back area. I'll give you one. There you go. Something like that. Or a player within that ilk. Andy, heard if they sell Richarlison, he's only worth 32 million now. Another loss on players. Well, I don't know how much we would still have left on the Richarlison pay structure to pay. But if it is, it is. At the end of the day as well, the value is in keeping your squad spots as well in those areas. Having Richarlison gone, it's like Reguilon. If Reguilon's on 80 grand a week, okay, so over a month, that's 320 grand a month, which is then basically 4 million a year, right? We'll call it 4 million a year he's on. You're saving that already, and you're not having to spend on buying him out of that. It's just 4 million a year that you're just off, right? Obviously, going forward now, there'll be nothing in regards to the Tanguy and Ndombele contract as well. You know, there'll be a few, actually, to be honest. There'll be a few. But you get my point. It all sounds up in the long run. And Mbeumo and Dibbling's a shout. Definitely Mbeumo. I'd love him. No, if anyone needs a bigger gym, it's Chelsea. Send me in there. Undercover agent. Sometimes losses have to be written off. Exactly. We can sell Daniel Levy on free transfer. If we'd sell Basuma and Bentancur, how much do you think they're worth and who would you bring in to replace them? I think you'd get somewhere between 35 and 40 million. Actually, maybe 30 to 40. I don't think you're going to get crazy money for him. I think you'd look at Archie Gray as being one of those replacements. I think if you get him as one of those replacements, you'd have to buy another midfielder. And if you count Kulusevski as a midfielder, then you need to go and buy another right winger. That's the way I look at it. And it's not to say that we're going to be cheap in that regard. It also just, you know, Jamie Donnelly, you could... By the way, Jamie Donnelly's free kick last night. It's not free kick, his goal, sorry. His goal last night was incredible. Leyton Orient winning away to Wrexham, by the way. Huge result. But go have a look at his volley. The technique is out of this world. Twitter went mental with it. Rival fans went, he plays for Tottenham. Fair enough. Jamie Donnelly could be around with the first team squad next year. Just saying. So, you know, if we're talking about Lucas Bergvall being good enough, Lucas Bergvall, no offense to Lucas Bergvall, he played in Sweden. I don't think Sweden is exactly close to the Premier League in quality. There's no reason why Jamie Donnelly couldn't do a Bergvall or Gray next year, you know? Richie market value doesn't mean that he's what he sold for. Yeah. I think you probably get maximum 40 on Richie. Maximum. But there you go. If Romero does go, we think Dan says good enough to take a spot. You would have to replace Romero. You'd have to brace Romero. Would Mark Guay be that guy? We'll see. I wouldn't sell Bentancur. If anything, I'd sell Basuma as better form consistent ever since coming back from his injuries this season. I don't think he's been consistent, mate. I don't think also the fatigue that he's playing with helps, but I don't think he's been consistent. Hence why I said to the end of this season, both of those guys for the next, let's call it 3 months, have to show they are worthy of a contract extension because they're both only with a year left in the summer. And if they're not worthy of that contract extension, you sell them both and you replace and move on. They're both in their late 20s as well. So you've got to have that in mind. Most clubs don't normally give those players those contract extensions as they go into their 30s. You have to have that chat as well. We'd be lucky to get 20 million Richie anywhere. Well, 20 million. All right. It's going to cost you 20 million for Richie. It's going to cost you 20 million to buy me. So 40 million. We'll still get there. We'll still get there. Romero won't leave. That's clear. Bergval's now a starter. Baller. You'd think we'd get 30 to 40 for both of them together. No, because they've only got 1 year left on their deals. That's the issue. Red says, we just need to cut our losses with Richie. Another sorry example of us spending big but ended up bearing no fruit. No, it bears some fruit, Squash, but I get your point, though, dude. I do get your point. I'd give Bentancur maybe a couple of years more and sell Basuma as he's only signed for 25 minutes. We're not going to, we won't get a profit on that 25. But with Bentancur, it's does he deserve that contract extension? I don't know if anyone could actually genuinely sit there and say yes. And I love Bentancur. I think on his day, he's our best midfielder. But I don't see it personally, unfortunately. Angelo's still at what a player he is. He's a good player, Caleb. Good shout. Qataris could ask their cousin to buy Richie for 60 million. I don't think so. I do not think so. But look, some really good stuff in that video. I really enjoy these sort of videos where we talk about not just transfer news. I think people too get too hyped on transfer news, and there's not enough hype on other things going on within and around the club. So really great chat on the transfer news. Obviously, great chat on the ownership situation. You know, obviously then as well as that, you know, great chat going forward surrounding, you know, the sponsorship side of things. This has been I've really enjoyed this live. So thank you all. You've been in nearly an hour. You've been in nearly an hour, you sad sack. So you listen to me for an hour. God, you must have got a better stuff to do in your day. Not look at this ugly face. You know, but yeah, I really do appreciate it. A few more comments. Buyback Kane. I'm hoping Richie, Romero, Basuma, Bentancur go this summer. Our loans and players coming through now are at least equal quality / output now. I'd give you 3 of those, but not Romero. Big up, bro. Great video. Appreciate it, Matty. You think Archie's a 6 we need, though? That's true. I'd protect the back line. Well, the beautiful thing is he's played all across the back 4. He knows what to do defensively more so. So why not? He played in that sort of position for Leeds, you know, so why not? I think Sonny should be replaced and give him ambassador status of the pitch. Smash like, amazing video. It's bedtime now, Andy. Appreciate that, Steve. I've got 10 minutes to go, but I appreciate it, Andy. Love your content, mate. Appreciate it, Brian. Get a like, sub to Andy. Legend, Kate. Evening Dragon, mate. Dragon comes in right at the end. What a surprise. What a surprise. What a joker. Do I do pods, Andy? I don't. I might start doing them. Also, get your comments in underneath this video, and anyone that you want to see appear on the channel, if you want to, you know, get them on to maybe do a preview of a game and things like that, let me know down below in the comments, and I'll have a look and see if I can get them on. It'd be good to get some different, fresh faces on and can tell me that I'm an idiot. What do I think about Drake's album? Haven't listened to it, bud. Haven't listened to it. But look. Me appearing on the channel. Get yourself a mic, Bazza, and we'll have a chat. How about that, bud? But look, thank you all so much for joining me this morning, sorry. Go and enjoy the rest of your days, your mornings, afternoon, evenings, wherever you are in the world. And I'll be back, well, later with hopefully some career mode. Appreciate it, guys. Take care. I'll see you all then. Peace.